Good morning, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club as my thing keeps banging back and forth in the background. Hope you guys doing well today. Hope you guys are on your plan, on your purpose. Hope everything is heading in the right direction. And today is September 9th, a great day as usual, as we kind of begin the day and looking at trying to become the most excellent and the best warrior possible. So, thanks again for all the great comments, the subscriptions, donations. It is greatly appreciated. I am very blessed and grateful to all of you for all your comments and well wishes as well. And I appreciate that. We're all on a separate journey, and so we have to kind of realize that and help each other out as we go along. I have sun in my eyes here, so I apologize. I'm trying to kind of get out of it a little bit. So I'm going to focus on a great common question from a newer viewer, I think. It's called Youngminds. So thank you, Youngminds. I appreciate that, and I want to shout out to you, my friends, and kind of talk about the idea of insecurities. So the question is that they were asking if I could do a video on insecurities. So let's kind of examine this, and I guess I'm going to title this one, How to Overcome Insecurities Through Our Semen Retention. So let's kind of focus on this a little bit. Once again, please go ahead and subscribe, comment, like. We're doing a good job of moving up there and getting the word out, so it's good. All right, so insecurities. So let's take a step back and look at what an insecurity is. So when I look at insecurities, I look at an insecurity, and I've had thousands of them over the years. An insecurity is something where you feel like you're not as strong that you should be. Maybe you have a lack of faith, lack of hope in something. Maybe you feel like others can do a better job in this particular area, and it could be anything. It could be anything like dancing. It could be like playing sports. It could be in school. It could be ice skating. It could be shooting a gun. It could be driving a car. There's lots of other things there that could create that insecurity. Now, the issue really is that how do you overcome insecurity? And the reason that we are insecure is because we feel like we're lacking something. Now, will semen retention by itself overcome any kind of insecurities? I don't think so. But on the other hand, you could get a situation in which insecurities could play a major factor. Because as you're looking at insecurities, and I'm going to connect my phone here a little bit here, so I apologize. My phone is going a little bit dead on me here. As insecurities, we are actually afraid of something happening that is not good. We're afraid of or worry about something that could be happening that is not such a good type of outcome. So when it comes to insecurities, we're looking at something that we're lacking. Now, the first part of this is the fact that I think we have to kind of realize that we have to have something down deep inside of ourselves to overcome this insecurity. And I think that all starts with your basic foundation of faith, especially in the Bible. I know a few viewers have mentioned to me, continue talking about religion and faith and God and Jesus Christ, and I will always continue to that, because I think the basic bottom line to me, and the reason I did a lot of this to begin with, was to get closer to God, to my God. And I think this is really something that we all should be doing, and especially at my age, as I'm getting older. I'm 61 now, so I'm hoping to kind of do that as I go along, because as you experience a lot of things, there's not too much that impresses you about this world anymore, and money certainly doesn't, and people, they impress me when they do things, but really when you're talking about things, I'm more impressed with God's nature and what God has done in this world. And so the insecurity comes from the fact that you don't feel like you're secure. Now, in relationships, people feel secure with each other. There's always a security that both men and women, especially women, list as important when it comes in a relationship. And I think that when you look at the idea of insecurities, we're looking at the idea of insecurities from a perspective of saying, okay, what is it that I lack? I think part of it is as you get older, as you experience more, you're able to realize, well, this is not the end of the world. If something doesn't happen that is positive, and I fail at something or I don't achieve something, this is not the end of the world. And so I don't have to feel that afraid about this. I have had lots of experiences over the years and with which, Jesus Christ and God has helped me overcome a lot of things that could have gone into a lot of bad directions. And so as I pray and meditate, and over the years I've learned how to kind of use God's blessings. And so I don't feel as insecure as I did when I was in my, teens and 20s and those years. And I think it's very important to kind of recognize that some of it is just a matter of kind of going through experiences to realize that that's happening. Because as you go through life, and Emerson said this, a great philosopher we had in the 1850s, and Emerson said that life is just a matter of trust. All the experiences in life build trust, and trust in God. And I believe that's really true. So part of this, Young Minds, is the fact that as you're a young mind, of course, you're going to have experiences as you go along. And so that's something to remember. Now, the second thing is obviously then we're talking about how you behave in those insecurities, towards those insecurities. Obviously, you have something that you feel insecure, you're not meeting the standard that you want to stay at that time. And that's important to kind of look at, because as you focus on this idea of insecurity, you're focusing on the idea of trying to overcome what is the problem that we have and what is the issue that we have. And the issue really is something that you kind of deal with as you go along. Now, if you're having an issue with a certain type of like sports or something like that, you can always go through practice to overcome that. And as you do more, you feel more secure about doing it. But as you go through certain types of things, you're going to struggle until you actually kind of figure out the puzzle and understand why this is happening. So as I see this, the key is going to be trying to, as you become better as a person, as more stronger, as you become more efficient, more effective, you're going to have less insecurities. And so in a way then, we go back to semen retention. Semen retention can help you become that stronger person. I know in my case, when I started this long streak, and I think at 827 days, something like that, I had a lot of anxiety. I had a lot of, fear in certain things. And now as I realize this, I think part of it is the fact that I wasn't at full strength. I didn't have my superhuman powers, and I didn't have the powers to be able to reach into God and help try to overcome the situation. I didn't have that I wasn't able to tap into that because I was losing my energy and I wasn't feeling very strong and I was feeling very anxious. And so insecurities can really kind of blossom and heighten up if you don't practice retention. And we have a lot of people out there that's the way. And this is why we have a lot of people, and I heard something the other day talking about 1 out of every 4 women are taking medications or pills to go to sleep. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I can imagine a lot of it is true. I think there's a lot of people out there who have large insecurities and fears and anxiety. And as the Bible says, don't have any kind of anxiety for tomorrow, no thought for tomorrow. And it's very difficult to do that, but if you're not at full energy, if you don't have your full strength, if you don't have all those things you need to be able to be strong. And releasing energy is a big problem with that. So I think, young minds, you've hit on a very good point. I do think, obviously, that experience is going to help you with this. You're going to be able to deal with it better. But I think the biggest thing that you have to kind of look at is, how do I become the best person I can become? How can I become that strong warrior who can overcome everything? The Alexander the Great, the Attila the Hun type of a person, Roman Empire, the Julius Caesar, right? All these people who accomplished things. Now, in the long run, they kind of self-destructed. But a lot of the reason they self-destructed was because of lack of control of themselves, discipline. And so we teach a lot of discipline on this channel, and this is kind of what we're talking about when we talk about retention, is having that discipline to be able to be strong and to focus on things and make yourself to the point where you are the best type of warrior you can become. So I think that when you look at this issue, the issue really is a very an interesting, strong issue you bring up, young minds, and I appreciate that. And I think that you deserve a shout out for it, because it is something that I didn't really think about too much before you kind of asked the question. But I do think, as you focus on insecurities, you're focusing on trying to overcome and become the best person that you can become. And in that way, what you're doing is eliminating a lot of your insecurities. And so it is important to recognize that this is something that is a worthwhile goal. And obviously, if you realize, thing moving around there, huh? If you realize that you have insecurities, which we all do, and you try to kind of figure out how to overcome those one by one, you become a much stronger person. And I think that's the key to a lot of this. So yes, as you go through this, it is important to look at your journey and say, okay, this is obviously a journey on retention, no fap, all that kind of stuff to start with. But we're also then learning a lot of self-discipline and self-control. And you'll find, like a lot of people are on these streaks, that it transfers in a lot of overall behaviors. And now you focus on the idea of, having, watching your diet, trying to watch exercise, all those type of things. All those type of things become more important to you because you want to become the best person. See, I think that the energy you're bringing in to it, once you start keeping your energy and you realize that God has given you this body as a temple, now you want to take care of this temple. But I think when you're not on semen retention, I don't think you're really kind of looking at this body as a temple. In a subconscious way, I think a lot of us kind of are hurting ourselves. And this may go back to the insecurities. So, young minds, I think you bring up a good point. The insecurities may also be coming from the fact that you are releasing energy. And that down deep, you know that this is wrong. And then the guilt and the insecurities come from that. So it's a very good point you bring up, young minds. So really big shout out to you, because I think you've kind of given me some thought as I'm talking about this, and then ideas kind of pop into my brain as I talk about this. But I think the key thing to look at really is the fact that retention can help insecurities a great deal. Will it eliminate it by itself? I don't have that opinion at the moment. I guess I need to think about that one a little bit more. But I do think that it will help it a great deal, because all the anxiety, all the stress, all the worry you have is exaggerated by the fact that you have, you're releasing all the time. And it's kind of making you weaker, and it's kind of making you in that state where you're more susceptible to a lot of these things that we're talking about. All the kinds of anxieties and things like that, which is why a lot of people end up taking, medications, which in my mind makes it worse. I don't take medications. All through our pandemic and everything, I just refuse to put things in my body anymore that's going to make me weak. And that's really a result of retention I have felt a superpower in myself, and I just don't feel like taking other things that are going to hurt that. So I'm very careful with lots of things, whether it's pop. I used to have problems with drinking too much soda pop, and or it was fatty foods, or it was a high level of carbs, sugars, things like that. So I have to be very careful with a lot of that stuff. And the reason I am careful is because I have a renewed look at life. When I was in my 58, 59 years old, before I did this, I didn't really kind of have a lot of hope, and I had a lot of insecurities. And so I can relate, young minds, to what you're saying here. And I think certainly I probably caused a lot of those myself by the behavior I was doing. Looking at women in a certain way, looking at releasing all the time the pictures, things like that. So when you stop doing this, all of a sudden you become more normalized, and now I have a greater zest, vigor, of course, for living. And so I'm happier to have this life, and I'm happy to have something that I can keep focusing on and working towards, and having goals and things like that. And so it kind of motivated me to share the things that I'm talking about here, and focusing on the positive things that come out of this. And so again, you're looking at a great deal of focus. You're looking at a great deal of attraction, if you want to. We've talked about that before. That's kind of a two-edged sword, because it's great to have attraction, but you're not really going to do too much with it unless you want to find that one person, at least in my mind. And those type of things. So insecurities, very good topic, young minds. As I'm thinking about this more, there's more to it than as I'm talking about it. I think that when you have insecurities, there's kind of a lack of faith that people have, and we've all gone through it. So it's not just something that one of us has or any two of us has. Everyone has it. It's just really more of a matter of being able to kind of overcome that or control that. And this is not an easy thing to do, but I think you do control it. At least try to control it by several things. One of those things is having a strong faith. Now, as you build the faith, you've got to do things to kind of build that faith. And so part of building the faith then is self-discipline, self-control, which the Bible talks about is very, very important. Now, how do you build that self-control? Well, it goes back down then to something like very basic to start off with, and that's semen retention. When you're retaining, you're basically kind of saying, okay, like any other addiction, I'm refusing to give in to this temptation. I'm working to become better and better, and it's becoming a lifestyle change to me, so that I'm able to control that. And if I control that, well, then I start controlling other types of things around me too, and that makes me a more effective and efficient person for the purpose of God. And I do think that's how you become stronger as well. So once again, great topic for this morning, young minds. I want to shout out to you guys again. A great issue you brought up with how to deal with insecurities, and I probably didn't answer it the best way possible, but I did give you some thoughts, and also made me think a lot about it too as I'm talking about it. So, all right, young minds, thanks again, and all to everybody else out there, have a great morning. Hope you guys do well. I'll try to do one this weekend if I can, running around like a crazy person trying to get some things done. But hope you guys are going to have a great weekend, and we'll talk either over the weekend or we'll talk on Monday. God bless you guys, and battle on.